And we are live with some Torah this morning. We are continuing the laws of charity, which is not really the greatest word, as we discussed. Tzedakah is from the word tzedek, which is justice or righteousness, and that is not exactly charity. So we're going to tzedakah. And today we're learning for a refuah shlema for the cholim, including Yisrael ben Yocheved, Aliza, Chana, Bas, Dina, Ariella, Herschel, Mendel, Chaim ben Sheva, Leah bat Freda, No Avram ben Minel, Ruth bat Tzar, Goldo Yitzchak ben Dvorah, Dina bat Minel, Avram ben Gittel, Amiram ben Shoshan, Dina ben Dvorah, Maya bat Tzara, Chaim, David ben Esther, Azir Alon, Moshe ben Sarah, bat Sheva, Baruch Chaya bat Sarah, Rina bat Ethel, Nachman ben Herschel, Tzilia, Mechoel, Lev ben Sipor, Avram Shimon ben Sarah, Manuel ben Juliet, Harriet bat Lillian, Binyam ben Sarah, Ariam ben Esther, Yeshua ben Bluma, Chava bat Dina, Claros bat Etta, Yehonason, Meir ben Carmen, Rose, Elazar ben Gittel, Malka, Moshe Tzvi ben Rivka Chana, Ariella Rus, Bat Bracha Ita, Ari ben Yetta, Farchanda ben Mari, David ben Chida Leah, Azriel Moshe ben Sarah, Mechola ben Sipor, Rachel ben Esther, Godi ben Sarah, Rachel ben Teret, Tzipra Ptural, Binyamin ben Sarah, Yom Tov Chaim ben Chayaliba, David ben Sophia, Lynn ben Leah, Hershel ben Miriam, Maya Bas Sarah, and any others on our list, and any others who need refuah shlema. Today is also not just a few days before Passover, so you might be watching this live, you might be watching this recorded, Purim. So, one of the big mitzvahs of Purim is tzedakah. So we're going to learn more about tzedakah. Purim on tzedakah is actually a little bit different because there are almost no restrictions. The other thing I wanted to mention is that today, the day we are doing this study, coincides with the 11th of Adar, which is the yahrzeit of some very famous, important scholars. The Chida, who lived from 1724 to 1806, great Sephardic Rav and leader. He was a Talmud of the Orach Chaim and a pioneer of publication of Jewish religious writings. He wrote 70 Sfarim, 70 books, including the Birkei Yosef on Shulchan Aruch, amazing scholar. Additionally, there was Rav Gershon Ashkenazi, who was a famous rabbi in Nicholsburg. And then a little bit more current, we have Rav Avram Bornstein, who was the founder, the first Rebbe of Sochachev dynasty. He wrote the Avnei Nezer and Eglei Tal, and he was the father of the Shemi Shmuel, great Polish Hasidic dynasty in Sochachev. And last but not least, who I want to mention is Rav Yosef Rosen of Dvinsk, who was called the Rogachover. He was famous for several things. He lived from 1858 to 1936. Tzafnas Paneach, it was one of his Sfarim. He had a brilliant mind, was sought after for his amazing erudition and just piercing intellect. He also was a Nazir. He had very bushy hair and had quite a look. Big, huge mustache, beard. Okay. So we're also having these holy tzaddikim in mind today in our learning. Wow. That their neshamas should have an aliyah. We are on chapter 34. This is paragraph Hey. I wish I could hold a photo up of them so you could see the Rogachover. You'll just have to Google them. Incredible look, because he passed away in 1936, so there are photos, good photos of him. Okay. A person feels like, you know what? I need some merit in my life. Okay? First, you have to subdue your yetzer hara, your inclination to do things which are not good for you, not healthy, not with the Torah. V'yarchiv yado, and be open-handed. V'chol davar shehu l'shem shamayim, and anything that they do for the sake of heaven in a mitzvah, mehatov v'yafe, should be from his best and his finest. So a person wants to create merit for themselves. So you could give something, you could give a 2x4, or you could give something nicer, right? If you're going to build a synagogue, it should be nicer than the home that you're dwelling in. If you're feeding a hungry person, should give him the best, the sweetest, the nicest food you have on the table, right? You don't go and grab them some old rotten turnips. You give them the finest food. Kitzur, if you're going to provide clothing for those who are in need, you give them good clothing. You don't give them rags. Give them the finest, right? So if somebody came to you and they need some garment, you don't give them something which is which you're about to discard and throw out. That's you give them something nice. Hiktish davar, if you're going to give something to the hiktish, literally means you're going to sanctify something. But here, since we don't have a base of Mikdash, means you're going to give something to the shul, or for public use. Yaktish meyafe, it says you should give something nice, right? If you're donating something, should be something nice. V'cheinu emer, as it says in Vayikra, kol chaylev laHashem. We used to give, when we would offer in the temple, the choicest parts of the animal. Those days, the choicest parts with the chaylev. This was a kind of a fat, went for Hashem. Excuse me. It's put on the mizbeach. Number 6. Hanoisen levanav v'noisen v'godolim she'enu chayav b'zurusam. Let's say you provide for your older sons and daughters. She'enu chayav b'zurusam. You're not literally responsible for them. They're adults already, but you still provide for them. Shehem yoiser b'bnei sheishanim. Don't laugh. That they're older than 6 years old, right? So in those days, again, apparently the idea was that after 6, it's enough. But of course, that's insufficient today. Rabbanan, they used to say that children, you only had to provide for a child until the age of 6. However, we're gonna do more than that today, obviously. So, okay. So, in other words, we've got children. We want to teach our children. Okay. We might say, oh, you know what? I gave them a basic education. They learned how to read and write, and I'll just, enough. I don't have to do anything extra special for them. The answer is we're supposed to try to give our children Torah education, right? So that they will learn Torah, and that our sons and our daughters will go on a good path. Or you're giving gifts to your father. Now, the obligation, we have to take a little moment, the obligation to honor our parents doesn't include that you have to spend money on them. However, if they're unable to provide for themselves, you are required to provide for them as an act of tzedakah. So your tzedakah is actually going to your parent to support your parents. This is a big mitzvah. So you're getting tzedakah anim, and you're also getting kibbur ava'im. So v'hem tzrichin lachach, and then this word. So you've got these children. They need to learn Torah. Or now, let's say, for example, they're of age, but they don't have income. Your support for your adult children, and I that was my ad of adult, not the Kitzur. Okay. This is hareze b'klal tzedakah. This, you can use your tzedakah funds for this. Now, let's say you're able to support your parent without using your tzedakah funds. So then one should, right? If a person, Baruch Hashem, they've got a good income, they have enough that they can support their parents. So then it's not tzedakah. It's tzedakah if they themselves don't have the means to support the parents, unless they're going to use their tzedakah funds. Now, when it comes to the children, so he can use Meiser funds for this as well. But the big question always is, can you use your Meiser funds to pay tuition for your children? So it gets a little bit technical here. So we generally say you're not allowed to use your Meiser funds to pay for your children's Torah education, i.e. yeshiva, day school, right? However, you can use part of your Meiser funds, that is money that you have set aside from your net income, which is more than they would pay based on his income level. And also, this would go with your older children. So let's give a case. If a person's really strapped for funds, they want to do a Torah education. So then, and they say let's say the school says, we want you to pay, $15,000. And you had told the school, and of course the tuition could be much more, right? Especially here in Los Angeles. But you said to the school, I can only afford $7,000 for the year. So now the difference between what you had said you could pay, what you estimated you could pay, and what the schools ask you to pay, you could take that from Meiser money as well. Let's say it's not your child or your parent, but a relative who koydem l'chol adam. So relatives who are in need take precedence over others that are poor. And charity, the obligation to give tzedakah begins with those who are closest to us. So we mentioned a parent. We mentioned using Meiser funds to support adult children who, again, if you can afford to support them without using your Meiser money, that's great. But if you can't, then that money can come from your tzedakah funds. And relatives who are in need of assistance. And the poor of your household, the ones who need assistance that are in your home or close to you, they take precedence over the poor of the city. Vani iroi kadem lani iro acheres, and the poor of your city take precedence over the poor of another city. Shneamar, as it says in Dvarim, la'achiv la'necha la'aratzecha, to your brother, to your poor, and to the destitute of your land. So you see from the order of in Devarim, from how the pasuk is, first to your brother, i.e., your family, and those who are close to you. To your poor, those are the ones who are in your city. To the destitute of your land, these are the ones who are in other cities. Aval, however, Gabai tzedakah, this applies to the individuals giving charity. However, the person who's we don't, most folks are not Gabai tzedakah. Gabai tzedakah is a person who collects funds for others, and they're distributing charity. Tzedakah tzarich lezaher shelo yarba lekroivav yotzim yishandanim. So a person who is distributing charity on behalf of others. Many rabbis fall under this category at synagogues, right? So we have to be careful to not give more to our relatives than to the general poor, right? We can't show preference in the distribution of those charitable funds. Number 7, kol hanais in tzedakah leni. A person, you give tzedakah to a person in need. Okay, but let's say, this poor person, Nebuch, this person has their face to the ground. They're embarrassed. They're bitter. They're sad. They're upset. Okay. Afilu nasan lo elef zehuvim. So you gave them the money, but you didn't do it in a way that made them feel better. You did it in a way that was like inconsiderate. Like you threw the money at them. Or like you gave them money to get a job. You just did it in a way which was not honorable. And so the person was more shamed. Okay? Listen to this. Even if you gave them 1,000 gold pieces, you ruined your whole merit. Everything you did in the mitzvah is ruined because you violated another commandment when you gave the tzedakah, which was you're not supposed to feel badly when you give them the money. You have to give them with a happy face. So let's do this one again. You give it in a way that made the person feel bad, or you gave it in a way that you show disdain for the person, as opposed to a cheerful disposition, right? So we're going to do both. You gave it in a way that made the person feel bad, or you gave it in a way which the person receiving it, no, you didn't really want to give this tzedakah. You've lost the whole mitzvah. You have to give it with a cheerful countenance. You should commiserate with him over his misfortune. Oh, I'm so sorry, you're having a hard time. Things are going to get better, please God, right? As it says in Iyov, Im loy v'chisi likshem yoim, agma nafshi lev yoim. So this is a pasuk from Iyov. Did I not weep for the heavenly burdened? Did I not sorrow for the destitute? I.e., right, when you give tzedakah, we have a proper way of doing it. You should speak with them consoling, comforting words. It says, I would bring joyous song to the widow's heart. It's amazing because it is connected with the amount you give, but it's more connected with how you give it, right? If you give with a happy face and you smile at the person and you commiserate with the person, right? Even just for a moment. Oh, I'm sorry, having a tough time, or bless you, sir, bless you. Whatever you do to make the person feel better when you're giving the tzedakah, you are adding so much bracha to the mitzvah. And God forbid the other way, you do it the opposite way, where you lose all the merit. So you could give the person $100 bill, but if you do it in a way which makes the person feel bad, or you have it in your face like, oh God, not again, this guy. Oh, so you lost it. You lost the whole merit that you were about to get for that mitzvah. Because it's Erev Purim, we're going to do a little bit more. Number 8, Asur lachzir es ha'ani shesha'al. You're not allowed to turn away a poor person who asks. Rekam, we mentioned this at the very beginning of these laws. Somebody puts out their hand. Even if you only give them a single dried fig, you will have avoided the prohibition. Shneimar al yeshuv dach nichlam. It's a verse in Tehillim. Let not the oppressed turn back in shame. V'im ein b'yadcha klum. What if you have nothing? And it happens, you don't have any cash on you, i.e., we should always carry a little bit of tzedakah around with us that we can give, but you forgot it, you ran out of the house, or you're jogging or whatever, you're not able to, you don't have anything on you, and you don't have anything to give. What do? You can comfort them with words. Because you're not allowed to rebuke the poor. You can't shout at them or raise your voice to them. Because their heart is already broken and humbled by their situation. Their matzav is difficult. And so you can't oppress them. You can't say bad things to them. You can't yell at them. Oh, I gave you last time, or well, you're in my way, or can't do any of that. You don't have anything to give them, you can still give them good words. You can still offer them kindness. As it says, right? This Tehillim, got to remember this Tehillim. Lev nishbar, right? The broken heart. V'nirche Elokim loy sivze. A broken heart and humbled, God, you will not despise. V'oy loy lemishe hichlim esa'ani. Woe! Oy vey to those who embarrass the poor. And when you see the Shulchan Aruch say v'oylo, woe to that person, like that's a big warning. Eile yelo kamo'av. Rather, you should look at the poor person like they might be older than you, but like they're your child, like you're their parent and they're your child. Okay. Ben barachim ben medavarim. So you should look at them with compassion and love, with mercy and with words. Shneimar av anochi avyonim. In Yuva it says, I was a father to the destitute. So the word in English, paternalistic, has a negative connotation because it implies that one person is, it's a hierarchical in a not nice way, and paternalistic, you're kind of infantile. You're making somebody like an infant who's not. So we wouldn't want to be paternalistic to a poor person. What the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch is trying to remind us is that when we're giving tzedakah, or when we see a poor person, we should have compassion for this person like a parent has compassion for their child. Right? And even though the child might have even done something that they should not have done, we still we love them. They're our child. So that's the kind of parental, right? Not paternalism like, you really need to get off drugs, sir, or you really need to stop. It's just not gonna help anybody, right? It's not your job. It's not our job. It's not my job to start giving, musar out to the poor people. And I want to say one more thing. I hope the authorities catch somebody shot homeless people in Washington, D.C. and New York yesterday, over the weekend. Shot 5 homeless people, killed 2 of them. So they're neshama shev and aliyah, and please God, the authorities will catch this person who did that. Okay, we're going to, please God, continue this learning tomorrow, and everybody have a phenomenal day.